Hey, what's going on there, folks? Good evening. It is the Earthmaster back here on this Friday night. It is about 10:42 p.m. California time, September 1st, 2023. Goodness, already into September. The latest activity is a 2.2 on the big island of Hawaii. Also had some movement kicking up down in New Zealand just about an hour or so ago. A 3.8 earthquake being reported along the plate boundary here of South Island area. It was felt by at least one person. One person reported some weak shaking, but either way, that earthquake definitely coming in about an hour or so ago. It was picked up on the seismograph stations there. As we head down the list, right there, you can see it pretty nicely. Aside from that, things are generally about the same as they have been here across New Zealand for now, but we'll continue to watch that for some advancement. Quite a few other areas around the Pacific Plate have seen some adjustment. Just got to keep an eye on the New Zealand area here for sure. 6.2 or 6.1 Coral Islands earlier this afternoon, 146 kilometers deep. Somewhat of a good-sized earthquake there, but the potential for a much more damaging earthquake exists within this subduction zone. Doesn't look like we've seen any further movement, no further aftershock activity there, so we'll just keep that in mind. That's definitely overdue for some big movement. Papua New Guinea area, latest one in this area, 4.6, 64 kilometers deep. This comes in comes after some earthquake activity that was relatively deep back around the Samoa area. This earthquake here around the Vanuatu region was fairly shallow, though, but a little bit of bouncing back and forth is typical along this plate boundary between deep surface earthquake activity and a combination of deep and shallow activity over here. There's, of course, a couple different trenches that sit in this area around the Solomon Sea. Let's see, Alaska area, as we look up north here, mostly, looks like some smaller quake activity. Not seeing anything major going on there tonight. Pacific Northwest, what do we got here? Mount Hood kicking up here. Looks like a little 0.3 and a negative 0.1 at the beautiful volcano there in Oregon. Mount St. Helens area, Mount Rainier, all showing a little bit of seismic activity here. So let's jump over to the trimmer map here tonight. Looks like 32 epicenters, by the way, here along the Cascadia today. Nothing big. Volcanic activity. Let's check out the Mount Hood area. Wouldn't that be something if all of these volcanoes started kicking up all at once? That would be a pretty big disaster movie. Let's hope that doesn't take place. So either way, volcano act or at least earthquake activity around these volcanoes happen on occasion. Let's check out the Mount Hood area. See what we got for the recorded seismograph stations here. Looks like that's going to be that little earthquake. Very small, very, very small earthquake. And prior to that, looks like maybe a handful of other seismic events here as well. That's at Mount Hood. A couple smaller earthquakes. Mount St. Helens, that's the area that we've been kind of watching for an earthquake swarm here recently. They've only reported a handful of earthquakes in this area today, so let's see what we got on the recorded seismograph stations here. Very small, pretty small movements. I'm not for sure about this. Let me see here. That was 0.2 earlier this morning, so this just happened within about an hour and a half or so. Hard to say if that's a localized earthquake or something else, but we'll check back on that maybe a little bit later. There's another one from yesterday, I believe, or at least the UTC time of yesterday. So earthquake activity still kind of kicking up across the Mount St. Helens area. Just continue to watch that. You know, it might just be all fault related, but it's something to keep an eye on, right? Outside of Redding, California, Shingletown, seen a 3.2 earlier this afternoon time period up here outside of Mount Lassen. Not specifically too close here to that volcano, which I believe is currently sleeping for now. That's a good thing. Same with Mount Shasta. Really haven't seen too much earthquake activity at any of these volcanoes there in Northern California. Far as the Bay Area, fairly quiet. A handful of smaller quakes on the San Andreas Fault, but generally speaking, it looks fairly quiet. Hopefully I don't jinx it out here on the West Coast for now. Yellowstone, let's double check that here real quick and see what we have going on. Norris Junction, I'm not for certain if that's any earthquake activity or not. It could be, kind of looks like it, but then again, it really doesn't. Could be somewhat weather related. I'm just looking at these other graphs here that picked up this outside interference pattern. To me, I think it's some type of weather events that trigger that type of activity. We see it in the afternoon. It lasts for a couple hours and then it dies off. It's the same thing every day as the thunderstorms brew up there in the Pacific or in the northwestern corner of Wyoming. It's just, that's how it is. These seismograph stations pick it up. Here's the weather radar. We'll go to the last 6 hours or so, see what we had. I noticed Northern California here, we had a little bit of rain and thunderstorms off to my west. But, all right, let's see here. Look, thunderstorms up here about 6 hours ago. Some down here as well, still within the Yellowstone area. And we'll put this into motion here. Yeah, see that? See those storms fire up and bring some thunderstorms out there. And, you know, that was about that time frame as we see here. All right, moving on. What else we have here across the area? Oklahoma, Texas, all looking, a lot of that's older movement from this morning and late last night. Up here in Ohio, goodness, we're getting a little swarm of activity up here around the Madison, Ohio area. A couple twos coming in. This comes after a 4 point, what was it, a 4.3? Oh, 3.6. Goodness, okay, I was way off there. I couldn't remember. So a little bit of activity stirring up out here across this area of Ohio, just south here of Lake Erie. A total of 6 earthquakes following that. It looks like one prior, but for the most part, this is all type of aftershock activity from that 3.6. Just continue to watch that for now. Anything major going on across the South America region? Doesn't look like it. A handful of smaller quakes. The big island of Hawaii lighting up here slightly, off on the western side of Mauna Loa. It's at 2.2 at 9 kilometers deep, and a little bit of activity stirring up here across the Pahala and the Hawaii area, or the Kilauea volcano area. It's currently not erupting there at Kilauea Volcano, but check out the GPS displacements here. At the Kilauea Volcano. Stand by for a second here. Eventually this will kick back up into obviously a active volcano. The last 2 days here, still got that, well, at least up until earlier today. It looks like earlier this morning there was an inflation detail here. Notice that uplift, but now we're going back down, and that's a sign of deflation. Here it is as well, but general inflation on the long trim model here. But again, they have these little patterns, and that's, I'm sure, all got to do with the magma influx below, or lack thereof, like it is right now. There's not a whole lot of earthquake activity taking place, and those tilt meters are kind of showing it, but we'll continue to watch that. What else we got out here, folks? Java Trench region seeing some small earthquake activity earlier this morning. Mediterranean, nothing showing up on the USGS map, but yeah, a little bit of activity out there across the, is this the Iran area? Over here, looks like there's some type of swarm going on here on the Earthquake 3D program. A couple threes going on there within that region. And the Puerto Rico area, there's quite a few earthquakes showing up there on the globe. Let me see what's going on here. Get back over here where I'm at, see where I'm at. Southwestern edge of Puerto Rico definitely has a pretty good swarm going on, but this has been an ongoing event for quite a while, quite a few years here. They see these patterns of swarms. There's a couple different subduction zones here that Puerto Rico rides on, so to speak, or sits on, and sometimes those swarms kick up. But we really haven't seen anything major following these swarms, just an overall sign of some pressure up here against the subduction zones and the troughs that are around the Puerto Rico area. All right, moving on here to space weather. Just kind of make this just a little quick update. Looks like we did have a sea flare pop off here. Right here, upper sea flare. Not for sure where that came from. That was a long duration M flare from yesterday. Or late last night, I should say. But not 100% certain where that sea flare came from. We do have a couple active regions on the Earth-facing side of the sun, but overall, let's check out the most recent image here. These are just, they're fading fast. So I'm guessing that sea flare activity was probably from a far side sunspot there on the western limb. And that's just it for now. I mean, 75% chance for a sea flare, M flare 25, X flare around 5%. We're still seeing the effects of that proton event here from last night's long duration M flare. Did spark off some charged particles in this area of the solar system here on planet Earth, our home planet. But far as the major effects go, far as the CME goes, looks like that may be still in the forecast. September 3rd UTC time, maybe a G1 class storm kicking in there. That may be that's a little weird, just popping up like that. Are we still live? Yes, we are. But yeah, it could be a little glancing effect there from that CME that was produced from that long duration M flare yesterday. But that was, again, facing away from Earth. You can see it right there. It's obviously, even if it's a full halo CME, I don't think it's going to play too much of a event in our space weather forecast if it does arrive. But of course, we'll continue to watch it. They're forecasting maybe a 70% chance of auroras at the higher latitudes. Right now, there's some type of slight uptick here. I'm not for sure if it's from this previous event or just these odd solar wind patterns that kick up occasionally. It looks like we got just a little bit of uptick here across the polar regions for the auroras right now, but nothing major. All right, quick look here at the numerical models. California going to be dealing with some rain, some cooler temperatures. It only got up to about 75 degrees here today. It was pretty nice. Kind of cool out right now. 61 degrees, supposed to be dropping into the mid-50s. Nice and chilly. Far as any long-term patterns here, we do have a hurricane that wants to venture awfully close to the Florida area again. Looks like around the middle of September, but right now the pattern shows it getting caught up and just barely gracing the East Coast here before being sent back out to sea. Actually up north it looks like. Look at that. Wants to turn east and then head straight north. But with this high pressure system up here, we'll see if that actually takes place like that. Again, we'll continue to watch that. I'm not for sure if it's even named yet. Let's see, National Hurricane Center. Is it Gert? No, that's kind of heading off. Who knows? We'll have to see. It could be 12. You never know. 12's kind of taking a pattern off this way. And we'll see how it plays out. We'll check back on this model in the next couple days or so, because that's a long ways out here. That's 2 weeks out. I may completely disappear by tomorrow's update. All right, folks, we're just going to jump off here and enjoy the rest of our Friday night. And, just a heads up here, folks, on the live chat. We try to keep it clean, right? We do not allow any type of extreme negativity that, is not good. I had to block a long-term member out here because of a comment that was said by that member. Didn't get produced on the chat line or chat room because of the the moderation there on the chat. But it was said, and it was said by that individual, and I just can't have it here on this chat room. And any extreme profanity, any racial stuff is not accepted at all. It's not even leniently accepted. There will be none of that on this channel. That's just automatic terms for being blocked. If YouTube doesn't block you and somehow it gets through, then I will be blocking you. I just can't have that on this channel. So I figure I'd send that message out. I'm not going to say who that was, but we'll move on. Have a good night, folks. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow sometime. And I don't know. It's hard to say what's going on with this earthquake pattern right now. There's definitely a lot of movement. Looks like there wants to be a lot of movement up here across the Kuril-Kamchatka. All other areas, I mean, we've seen quite a few areas get hit here in the last 30 days. New Zealand, a handful of smaller quakes here around the major plate boundary. Haven't really seen too much newer activity here across the Kermadec Trench, so man, it's hard to say, but I'm thinking maybe New Zealand might be next up here for some movement. Either way, stay safe out there, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow, Saturday. Have a good one.